Okay, Robert. Thanks for coming to see me for your evaluation, mate. I appreciate it. This is going to be just a little video recap of what we went through, just as a reference so you can come back to it. So what were we observing? We were observing shots which kind of start a little bit left of the ropes as a little pull, and some of them just with a little bit of a fade, but generally, and this is one of the things that I mentioned during our session, was it was very impressive watching you stripe the ball, just hit one, grab another one, hit one, grab another one, hit one. It was impressive. It was really impressive. But like we said during the session, you've got to wanna try and change your ball flight from that fade, that pull, and that fade, which is going to sometimes creep into a slice, into a little push and a little push draw, right? So let's just give you the diagnosis. So like I said, it was a pull and a pull fade, right? So where are you coming down? So you can see how you're just slightly, your hands aren't very deep at the top, meaning they're just kind of over your right shoulder, in line with your right shoulder. And then as we start to come down just above the plane a little bit, you can see how your hands and the club kind of come down through your right shoulder, or even slightly above it. The pattern at P5 there, left arm parallel the ground, would be the pros are bringing the club down kind of in the middle of their right bicep, right? So you're a little above the plane, just a fraction. And then as you come down, maybe just a smidgen across it or very straight into it. And then as we finish, kind of straight down the line rather than turning the corner, right? So that's one of the things that we picked up on. Shaft angle coming up quite high, that side of your left shoulder, and the club face whipped over a little bit, right? So, and then if we look at from this angle, so a bit of head movement, by the time you get to the top, there's a little bit of space there from where your left ear started. So a little bit of head movement, and then kind of stay back a little bit with your head, don't you? So you stay a little bit back with your head, and just don't quite get your hips forward enough to move your weight forward, right? That particular one, the one I picked up on camera there, you can see there's a lot of club face movement, a lot of club face rotation here. So you're there at impact, and then suddenly it whips over just after impact. Now, if I zoom in here, and this is why I got you doing this little that drill with the T-peg, right? Where I just got a T-peg and put it next to your left thumb, and I said, right, well, try and keep your right hand, the right palm against your left thumb, so you can see as you're coming down, that right hand, that right palm just coming away from your left thumb there, right? So that's gonna, you're always gonna struggle keeping the blade foot, keeping the shaft leaning forward for one, right? And also struggle to maintain control of the club face, if you like. That would be a good way of thinking about it. And you can see even through there. So really you're hitting it by squeezing really hard with your left hand, aren't you? There, so because there's no sort of the right hand loses its connection to your left thumb. So what we got you doing was to change your ball flight a little bit and get you hitting some pushes and some push draws. We said, right, well, right off the bat, Let's bend your knees a little bit more. We can definitely work some of that into your setup, can't we? And then I think I pulled up, I think the model that I used was Charlie Wee, right? Just as the example to get the hands moving inward. So if we do the same for him, we put a club across up the club, one up his elbow. And then watch, so first of all, look how he's got a bit more knee bend, right? And then watch where his hands are going. So let's draw some green lines at where his left arm is in the takeaway. And then we look at where your left arm is. So it's inward. I mean, you know, you're kind of ticking the box, but only just a fraction, right? There, the club and your hands kind of going through the very top of your bicep, the right bicep. When he gets to P3 there, you can see his hands and the club going through the base of his biceps. So his left arm's a lot deeper, a lot more across his chest, if you like. And then as he gets to the top, we'll put a little circle where his hands are and put a line up from the right shoulder, and you can see just how much more behind his right shoulder is compared to where your hands are, right? So what I'm saying is, by getting your hands deeper, then you've got chance at not only going to pull your body round, so you're going to increase your turns to get your hands deeper, just by trying to move your hands inward more. It's going to get you at the top. It's going to get you to the top of the swing, where you've got a better chance of the club now coming down between the two red lines. Look, right, getting the club in the slot. Whereas from your position, just a smidgen over the top. Right, and you can see there as well just how right foot's still on the ground, right? So that tells me your hips haven't moved forward laterally, right? So then if we get you from face on, and let's maybe get Mac up. So a couple of lines where the hips are, left ear. So we know the head's moved to the right at the top, right? Hands are quite high, not inward enough, so we've only turned our shoulders that much. He moves his hands inward a little bit more and turns his shoulders that much, right? So look how his hands are higher, and they're also going to be deeper as well, more behind him, more behind his right shoulder, right? But the real illustration here is just where he gets his hips to on the way down, right? So he's there at P6, there at P7, so he's got all this space from where he started the downswing. By the time you get to impact, you've got that much space, right? You've got that much space. So what I'm saying is, you want to change the path coming into impact, right? You want to get that path, you want to get that plane a little bit more between two red lines, so you're attacking the ball a bit more from the inside, so you can push it out to the right, so you can push it and push draw it. We want to do a couple of things. We want to move our hips more laterally. We definitely want to keep our head more centered, right? So as we get up to the top, we spoke about your head movement there. So one of the tips I gave you to get to the top was to feel as though your chest is pointing up here somewhere, right? You can see your spine angles there. So that tells me your chest is pointing still down here. So get your chest pointing upwards, so downwards a little bit, and then you'll start to see your spine angle straighten, and you'll start to see your left ear stay on that red line, right? So chest up whilst moving your hands inward, Now another good example would be a guy named Troy Mattison, right? And if we get your swing up towards the end, so what I said was, well, you know, there's a stick next to your right pocket, move away from that stick more, coming down, right? So now you're actually moving away from the stick more, and you can see that right heel start to come off the ground, right? So you watch how much he moves his hips there, right? It's a really good example, right? Also, you know, just kind of press record a little bit late there, so we just missed setup a little bit, but you know, look at the difference in shaft angle here, and just how much he's got his hips forward, right? So what I'm saying is the center of his hips at the setup are already closer to his left foot, right? We look at your setup. Your hips are very central, right? So we want to hit a draw, we want to hit a push, right, to hit the ball further, get out of that fade, get out of that occasional slice. Let's start with your hips a little bit more forward, just like you see this guy on the left named Troy Mattison, PGA Tour player, and also get the shaft leaning forward a little bit more, right? So that's where we'd start, mate. By all means, if you have any questions or want to talk about anything regarding the golf swing, just shoot me over an email. Thanks, Robert.